So as we are started our unit number 2, our unit number 2 is optics. So we are discussing about the wave optics. So here the wave is nothing but light energy. So how the light waves are propagated in the medium. That we are going to study here in the wave optics, in optics. So as per our assigned syllabus, we are going to have the following topics which I have mentioned here. First, we are going to start with the Huygens principle. Then we are going to study the phenomenon of diffraction and interference. So from the diffraction phenomenon, we are going to talk about Fraunhofer and Fresnel diffractions. In Fraunhofer and Fresnel diffractions, we are going to consider only the Fraunhofer diffraction. For a Fraunhofer diffractions, we are going to measure the diffraction for a grating material under a single slit. Along with that, we are going to study its characterization and the application. Then in optics, we are going to study the term polarization. Finally, we are going to end the unit with the scattering of light. We started this unit. We know what is the Huygens principle. What are the laws are there in the Huygens principle? Basically, we are having two types of laws are in the Huygens principle. One is the law of reflection and another one is the law of refraction. We are going to study about the laws of refraction and the laws of reflection. So these two laws are considered in this unit from the Huygens principle. So we started with the objective for the wave optics. We are connecting the ray of light and the wave. So we are going to describe the connections between the rays and the waves. So this concept wave optics was taken from the theory of light. So we know light is an electromagnetic radiation. Here the light is taken in the form of an energy. So these are all the content which we have already studied. Basic things what we are going to see in this unit. Superposition of waves. Superposition of a waves is nothing but overlapping of the wave. The wave will overlaps with each other without dispersion. Without a dispersion is nothing but without loss. The waves will propagate from one place to the another place. They will overlap with each other. During the superimposition, during the collision, during the collapse, during the overlap, they will never lose their energy. So these we have to study. Then we are going to study about the diffraction. See, for a small slit, we are going to get a circular format. For a larger slit gap, we are going to get a plane format. So this is from the diffraction. Then interference. Interference is the superimposition of the two different types of the waves. When crust and a tuft are overlapped with each other, when a tuft or a crust is overlapped with each other, they will result in the formation of the interference pattern. Then we started with the polarization. So the polarization is the term which converts the unpolarized light into the polarized light. So initially we are going to have an unpolarized light. Unpolarized light, we know about the sun radiation. The sun radiation falls on all the directions. We know it's in the form of a spherical format. So we have to make that radiations to be fall on the particular target. So that we are using the term polarization. The polarization is a mechanism which converts the unpolarized light into the polarized form. By the medium, it's called polarizer. Basically, we are having three types of the polarization. So unpolarized, circular polarized, and linear polarized. Let's see one by one in future. And finally, we are going to study scattering of waves. So the scattering of a wave, oil spread out in the surface of the road. So when the sun radiation falls on the oil surface, to the observer who is far away from the oil surface, when he looked at oil surface, he can able to see the scattering of the rays. So the sun is scatter its radiation in the universe in all the directions. So we are considering the example sun and its radiation for to mention the scattering of rays. So let's start our first consideration, that is Huygens principle. So here we know about the Huygens. So the Huygens, he was a Dutch mathematician, astronomer, and a physicist who founded the wave theory of a light. So according to him, he postulated two fundamental laws. One is a law of reflection and another one is law of refraction. So we are first going to talk about the Einstein's hypothesis, Huygens hypothesis, Huygens assumption. So according to the author Huygens, he formulated fundamental two basic laws. They are laws of reflection and laws of refraction. So we are going to talk about these two laws. So the Huygens principle. Huygens in the year of 1678. Huygens in the year of 1678, he just formulated a principle. According to his principle, all points of a wavefront of light in a vacuum or transparent medium. We can consider a vacuum medium to penetrate the light radiation, or we can consider a transparent medium to pass the light radiation. So according to the author, he defined that all points of a wavefront of light in a vacuum or transparent medium is a source of secondary wavelets that expand in every direction at a rate depending on their velocities. So this is the principle. All points, here we have mentioned as every point on the wavefront. That every point on the wavefront is nothing but all points on the wavefront of light is a source of the secondary wavelet that expands in all the directions at the rate depending on their energy, depending on their velocity. So this is the principle given by the scientist Huygens. So according to him, he assumed some conditions. According to him, he assumed some conditions. First condition, here, energy is emitted in the form of waves. According to the author, Huygens, he showed that, he studied, he explained, he narrated that energy is emitted in the form of waves. Energy is emitted in the form of waves. We can able to see here. So from the structure, we are having a source here. So from the source, the radiation is coming out, is exited. That exited radiation here, according to the author, was taken as a wave, considered as a wave. Energy is emitted in the form of a wave. The second assumption, each point on the wavefront, for example, if I am going to consider the first wave, so here we are having number of points. So each point on the wavefront acts as a source of the secondary wavelet. Each point on the wavefront is nothing but, if you are going to consider a point here in this first curve, first wavefront, so that point is going to act as the new disturbance. The new disturbance is nothing but, so from the first wavefront, we develop the second wavefront. From the second wavefront, we develop the third wavefront. So likewise, the distribution, the disturbance of the waves will be takes place from the source. So this will be the second assumption. The third assumption is it emits its own set of spherical waves. It emits its own set of spherical waves that it's called as the secondary wavelets. Called as the secondary wavelet. So here we are having two types of the wavefront. One is the spherical wavefront and another one is the plane wavefront. How these are two types of the wavefronts are developed? So these are two types of the wavefronts are takes place based on the presence of the source and the medium. If the medium width, if the medium opening, if the medium slit gap is very small, for example, then we are getting these spherical wave from it. If the width of the slit is very large, the gap is very large, the opening of the source is very large, then we can able to get a plane wavefront. So we are having two types of the wavefronts. One is a spherical wavefront and another one is the plane wavefront. So according to the author Huygens, he is the first one who proposed this theory of wave theory of light. Second, according to him, the energy is emitted in the form of waves. Each point on the wavefront acts as the source of the secondary wavelet. Here the energy or the wave emits its own set of spherical waves. It called as the secondary wavelet. So then we have to know what is this wavefront. So the Huygens principle means we are just saying that the wavefront should always perpendicular to the direction of the ray. Second, we are going to give the formation of the secondary wavelet. So what is this wavefront? First of all, we have to know what is mean by the wavefront. Wavefront is nothing but an imaginary surface. Wavefront is nothing but an imaginary surface which representing the corresponding points of a wave. That vibrate in unison. So it's called as the wavefront. So the wavefront means it's an assumption. It's an imaginary surface. Drawn by the author. The imaginary surface representing the points of a wave that vibrates in unison. So basically we are having three types of these wavefront. We are having three types of the wavefront based on the source of light. As I informed that here we have taken only two. One is spherical and another one is the plane. So there is another one wavefront, that is cylindrical wavefront. So we are having the three types of the wavefront in general. The three types of the wavefront are based on the source of light. Depends on the source on the light, or it depends upon the source of the light. They are spherical, they are plane, they are cylindrical. So we are going to study just only the formation of the wavefront, and we are going to see how these wavelets are going to be takes place. So these two is nothing but the Huygens principle. Along with this, we are going to give a small proof for the Huygens laws. So Huygens given two laws in general, law of reflection, and he given the laws of refraction. So we have to know what is that law of reflection and law of refraction. Let's see one by one. So we are talking about the Huygens principle. We are talking about the terms wavefront, and we are talking about the term wavelet. So as we know that the wavefront be always perpendicular to the source of light. So here from this slide we can able to see that the light ray propagation is in the vertical line. The wavefront propagation is in the horizontal line. So the wavefront should always be perpendicular to the ray of light, whatever the directions. We can consider any directions, we can assume anything. But the ray direction and the wavefront direction should not be equal. They always be perpendicular to each other. That we have to clearly mention in the diagram. So whatever the directions you are going to consider. Okay. Now here we can able to see that the wavefront is falls on a small layer. Let's imagine that the wavefront falls on a small layer. This small layer is nothing but a slit A and B, or A dash. So A dash is a slit. Here we are having a fine holes. Imagine that here we are having a fine holes. So when the light ray strikes the slit, when it falls on the layer A dash, then the incident ray will act as the source of the new disturbance. Incident ray act as the source of the new disturbance. That a new disturbance is nothing but from this line A dash, from this point O, that is from this small gap O, or a small gap, we can able to see that the waves are coming out in the form of a sphere. That a spherical wave just it falls. Imagine that we are having the spherical waves here. So this is the first wavelet, this be the second wavelet, this be the third wavelet, and this be the fourth wavelet. So here I have considered the 4 wavelets. So I am going to draw a normal line. I am going to draw a normal line, tangential line, by connecting these 4 waves. By connecting these 4 wavelets. So if the tangential line that is nothing but it's called as the secondary wavefront. Called as the secondary wavefront. So this is the assumption of the author. This will be the assumption of the author. That only we have mentioned here clearly. So first point, we have to consider that the wavefront are perpendicular to the direction of the light ray. Wavefront are perpendicular to the direction of the light ray. Second point, we are going to find the formation of the secondary wavefronts. We are going to find the formation of the secondary wavefronts. So to find the formation of the secondary wavefronts, what is our assumption? What we are going to assume? So that we have to study here. See, when the light ray falls on the slit A dash, so the time is nothing but 0. The time we have taken as a 0. So we are going to measure the time t. We are going to measure the time t. So to find the time t from these slit A and A bar, we are going to form a source of the secondary disturbance. That secondary disturbance here is nothing but in the form of a wavelet. So we are going to draw a radius. So I have mentioned here a small line in between these curve. So this line is nothing but in the radius. So draw an arc of a radius. This radius here I have mentioned as v and t. What is this v and t? The v is the velocity here and the t is the time taken. So when t is equal to 0, there is no changes. When t is equal to t, so the distance is equal to velocity into the time taken. So when we join these wavelets by a tangential line, then it will become as a source of the secondary wavelet. So let's see the points which I have given here. New wavelets will take place, which travels with the speed of waves. So from this point, new wavelets are taken place. So these new wavelets will travels with the speed of the incident light ray. So what be the speed of the incident light ray? The same speed itself, the wavelets also will propagate. The second point, the speed of a wave, that is the incident light speed, the speed of the wave, and also the speed of the secondary wavelets. The secondary wavelets is our imagination. So from this point, we imagine that new types of wavelets takes place. So these wavelets is nothing but these also a source of the light. So the speed of a wave and also the speed of the secondary wavelets is equal. Both are equal. That is, we are saying that the velocity of the incident ray as well as the velocity of the wavelet which was formulated here, it's equal, same. It is given by v. To find the new wavelets after time t, so t is equal to 0 here. We are going to find the wavelet after the time t. So we are considering the distance traveled by the wavelet in time t. So the distance traveled by the wavelet in time t is nothing but d is equal to v into t. D is equal to v into t. So finally, draw a common tangent. Common tangent is nothing but we are drawing on a line here. We are just drawing a line here. That line is connecting all these wavelets. So draw a common tangent. It will become as a source of the secondary wavelet. So if you know this assumption clearly, then the Huygens principle is very, very easy. That's all from this slide. Now, so before going to the proof, already I have informed that Huygens formulated two basic laws. One is the laws of reflection and another one is the laws of refraction. We have to know what is the laws of reflection and we have to know what is the laws of reflection. So before going to these proof, first I will explain what is this law of reflection. So the law of reflection states that when a ray of light, law of reflection states that when a ray of light reflects from a mirror surface, when a ray of light reflects from a mirror surface, when a ray of light is nothing but the incident light. Here the incident light falls on the reflecting surface. When the light falls on the reflecting surface, we know that it will reflect and also it will refract. Here we are not talking about the refraction, we are talking only about the reflection. So to explain the law of reflection, according to the author Huygens, he stated that when a ray of a light reflects from a mirror surface, then the angle of incident is equal to the angle of reflection. So this is the law. Angle of incident is equal to the angle of reflection. if we know this law, then the entire thing which we are going to see here, it will be a easiest one. So this point is very, very important. According to the author Huygens, we are talking about the laws of a reflection. So here this law of a reflection states that when a ray of a light reflects from the mirror surface, then the angle of incident means, here we have to draw the normal line. I will show here. This one. When the ray of light falls on the mirror surface, the ray of light means the incident ray. When this ray of light falls on this mirror surface, when it falls on the point A, when it falls on the point A, then the angle of incident is nothing but, we have considered a normal line at the point A. So now we know that here it's assigned at an angle of 90 degree. So the angle of incident is I is equal to the angle of reflection. The angle of incident is equal to the angle of reflection. So the angle of reflection here is nothing but the position C under D. C under D. So according to the author, please carefully note this point. So this is only the proof. So what we have just sketched here, it's shown only these 2 points. From this total sketch, we are going to consider only these 2 points. The angle of incident, here the angle of incident is nothing but an AB. The angle of incident equal, the angle of incident is equal to the angle of the reflection. So the reflection is nothing but C under D. The reflection is nothing but C under D. So in between these, we have given the normal line. In between these, we have given the angle. Here R is in a reflection. So here 90 minus R is in a reflection. Here I is an incident ray. 90 minus I is an incident ray. So this region is an incident ray. This region is a reflected ray. So whatever it's in a mathematical term. So when a T is equal to 0, the light falls on it. So this will be the initial one. When a T is equal to T, so the wave travel for a time T. That's why we are writing as a V into T, the distance. So here the reflection is considered from the point C and D. So these 2 regions are equal to the author's assumption, to the author's knowledge. So that's the law of reflection. It states that the angle of an incident is equal to the angle of reflection. See here, boys. A, B, C. A, B, C. So I have taken this region, this point I angle of incident, and here the energy, we can able to see that the energy is nothing but Vt. The energy is nothing but a velocity into time is Vt. So the BC is nothing but a Vt. So this angle of incident is equal to the angle of the reflection. Is equal to angle of reflection. See, the both conditions are satisfied equally. So that's why we are saying that from this incident is equal to the reflection. And another one thing, from these laws of reflection, the incident ray means this region. The reflected ray means this region. And the normal to the reflecting surface at a point of the incident lie in the same plane. So this is an important parameter. The incident ray and the reflected ray, this incident ray and the reflected ray and normal, this line and the normal to the reflecting surface. To the reflection surface means this is a board of surface. This is a board of surface. We can able to see the dark line. No, this dark line is the board of surface. It's called as a reflection surface. So the incident ray, once again, the incident ray the reflected ray and the normal to the reflection surface at the point of the incident lies in the same plane. So this is the proof. Then the angle which the incident ray makes with the normal is equal to the angle which the reflected ray makes the normal. See here the normal. The angle means this part. The angle which the incident ray makes the normal, the angle which the incident ray makes the normal is equal to the angle which the reflected ray makes the normal. Reflected ray makes the normal. So these the just proof for the laws of the reflection. I will explain what is happened here. So we have taken two parallel rays. So these two parallel rays are falls on the reflecting surface, mirror surface. So here the first ray is strikes at the point A. According to the author, it strikes at the point A. The second ray, it strikes at the point B. It strikes at the point B. So here we know that the wave format or the spherical wave format. Wave format or the spherical wave format. Spherical wave format means the waves are falls in all the directions. We can give here also the wave format. I can give here also the wave format. I can give here also the wave format. So according to the author, he assumed that the incident ray A, for this incident ray A, the wave form, it's at the point D. For the incident ray B, the wavelet is at the point C. So he assumed that from here the waves goes on like this, and they is mentioned here. So for the point A, the waves goes on like this, and they have mentioned the point here D. So these are 2 points is the new disturbance. New disturbance. When we connect these 2 points, that is when we connect the point D and C. When we connect the point D and C, as we know that when a tangential line is drawn, when a tangential line is drawn to connect the wavelets, then it's use the source for the secondary wave front. So when we draw the line, then it will give rise to the secondary wave front. So this is only the assumption. Nothing is there. We have to consider these are 2 lines. A first point, B second point. For the A, author considered the wavelet at D. For B, the author considered the wavelet at C. For B, the wavelet is at C. For A, the wavelet is at C. We connect the wavelet, then for the secondary wave front. Secondary wave front. So now we are going to draw a normal lines here. When we draw the normal line, then we can able to see that according to this normal line, here we are having the 90-degree angle. Here we are having 90-degree angle. So here we are having 90-degree angle. So then we are going to give the angle of the incident here as an I. If it's angle of incident here is I, then it became 90 minus I. Then it becomes an I. It's based on the angle. So similarly, the points C and D, it's considered as a reflected ray. Considered as a reflected ray. Why, sir? Why these are 2 points we have considering as a reflected ray? Because for A, the wavelet is at D. For B, the wavelet is at C. When we connect a tangential line at this point C and D, it's going to be a source for the secondary wavelet. So this secondary wavelet is nothing but a new generation. That the new generation here, it's considered as a reflection. Considered as a reflection. So AB is an incident ray and CD is a reflected ray. If you know these parameters, if you know how these are given, then you can complete the proof. You can state that the ray of a light reflects from a mirror surface, the angle of incident is equal to the angle of reflection. Then the incident ray, the reflected ray, the incident ray AB, the reflected ray CD. Then the normal here it's just n. We can consider as an n, or directly we can write normal. The reflection surface at the point of the incident lies in the same plane. That's why we are considering these triangles. So these are triangles are taken only to represent this point. The incident ray and the reflected ray and the normal to the reflection surface at the point of the incident lies in the same plane. And finally we conclude the angle which the incident ray makes with the normal is equal to the angle which the reflected ray makes the normal. That's all. So this is the proof for the laws of a reflection by the Huygens principle. That only we have mentioned here. So the incident wavefront AB, reflected wavefront CD, the reflecting surface and reflecting surface is AC. AB incident, CD the reflection, and AC the mirror surface. So all are perpendicular to the plane of board. So the plane of board, this one. So these all are perpendicular. See, AB is perpendicular to the board, and the CD is perpendicular to the board, and the AC is also perpendicular to the board. So it's coming outside. AC is showing outside. So all are perpendicular to the board. So this is the proof for these laws of the reflection by the Huygens principle. That's all, boys. So these is the just conditions for the laws of reflection. Now the proof for the laws of reflection by Huygens principle. So I will just show you the mechanism first. Later we study what is there, how to consider this one. The simple logic, what we are considering for the law of a reflection, the same mechanism. See here, we are having two incident ray. Same A and B. The incident ray A and the incident ray B. Here I am going to draw a normal line at the reflecting surface of the mirror at the point A. So if I draw the normal line at the point A of the reflecting surface, then we are going to connect this line. We are going to connect these lines with a tangent. Then we can able to give the angle. So this is a 90 degree angle of incident, 90 minus I. So this also becomes an angle of incidence. Here we are not talking about the angle of reflection. We are talking only about the angle of refraction. So that's why the refracted rays are shown in the denser medium. So we are having two mediums here, air medium and the denser medium. Air medium to the material medium. Air medium. So it's an open place. So these are material surface. These are material medium. We have to imagine like that. If you are going to consider a glass beaker, or if you are going to consider a glass cube, when you pass the light over that glass cube, the light will reflect and also the light will refract. So we are not talking about the reflection, but we are talking about the refraction. So the refraction, it's to be penetrate inside the medium. That penetration here, it's considered as a denser medium. We are having a rarer medium, open space, denser medium, material medium. So for A, the wavelet which we have considered here is a C. For B, the wavelet which we have considered is D. When we draw a tangent line for these two wavelets C and D, then it will be act as the source of the secondary wavefront. It will act as the source of the secondary wavefront. So these, it's nothing but refracted ray. So this is nothing but an incident ray. The incident ray here, it's AB. The refracted ray here is C and D. The same mechanism we can state that. So here the incident ray, the refracted ray, and the normal to the interface. Normal to the interface. This is the interface. Why, sir, we are calling as an interface? Why we are using the word interface? Because the upper side is an air medium, the lower side is in a material medium. So the interface is the region between the surface and the medium. That's why it's called as an interface. We can call as interface, or we can call as the refracted surface, not the reflecting surface, refracted surface. So the incident ray here, refracted ray here, and the normal to the interface all lies in the same plane. All lies in the same plane. So that's why we are saying that the ratio of the sine of the angle of an incident is equal to the ratio of the sine of the angle of refraction. What is this? The ratio of the sine of the angle of incident is equal to the ratio of sine of angle of refraction. So this is nothing but Snell's law. This is nothing but Snell's law. So from the laws of refraction, we are going to know about the Snell's law. Snell's law means sine of angle of incident is equal to sine of angle of refraction. It's the Snell's law formula. So to explain the Snell's law, to explain the laws of refraction, we have to know how to draw this. So please don't mug up. Try to understand the concept. So these ray and these ray, A and B are the incident ray. We are discussing about the refraction. We are not discussing about the reflection. So for the refraction principle, here we have to consider the wavelet at the C for A and for the wavelet B at D. Here the velocity is differs because the medium is varies. We are launching the light in the air medium. The light falls on the material medium. So the velocity varies. For velocity of the rarer medium, we are taken as a V1. The velocity of the denser medium, we have taken as V2. So the distance traveled here, V1 t time. For the denser medium, the distance travel is a V2 t time. So the AB is an incident wave and the CD is a refracted wave. Refracted wave. So with this, we just concluding the concept. Here the incident ray, the time is 0. Here after the refraction, the time is equal to t. So the t time it's traveled from the incident ray to the refracted ray. That's we have mentioned as here t is equal to t. So from this structure, from the triangle, we can consider the position AD. So AD for the incident ray, hypothesis. AD for the refracted ray, hypothesis. So this is the hypothesis side. So these are the sides. So here the sides are equal. Hypotheses are almost equal. And the angle, it's different, but the angle, it's also lies in the same plane. So that's why we are writing as sine I is equal to Vt by AD. Here sine R is equal to Vt or V2t by AD. According to the laws of the refraction or from the Snell's law, we can write sine I by sine R is equal to V1t by V2t. On substitution, we get only this term V1t by V2t. So the tt will get cancelled. Then we get V1 by V2. So this V1 by V2 is nothing but here, according to Snell's law, considered as a mu2 by mu1. So the mu2 by mu1 is nothing but the refractive index. The refractive index is nothing but it's the variation, light variation. So that we have mentioned here. So according to the author, they have proved the second law also. Angle of sine of angle of incident to the sine of angle of refraction is a constant one. So with this, I will conclude my today's lecture. If you have any doubt, please ask your doubt. We can clarify it. For a tomorrow class, for your next class, I will show you the animation video of it. Then we can come to know clearly what is happening there. Accordingly, simultaneously along with the animation video. I will share the slide also, and I will explain the steps also, how to write, how to represent, and how to draw the structure. Any doubt, boys? If you have any doubt, Abhishek, adorable son. Neha,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you have any doubt, ma?
No, sir.
No, no doubt. So you are ready to write the test, okay? If you have no doubt, I think you have ready to write the concept. Is it?
Nothing like that, sir. I'll revise
Okay.
it once.
Yeah, ma, yeah. But is it clear? No.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Purviha.
Sir, I have a doubt in refraction, sir.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Ask your doubt, ma. What you
Sir,
have?
in the diagram, can you explain that again? That refracted ray V1T and
Yeah,
V2T
yeah,
distance, this one?
yeah. Okay. Is the screen is visible?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, ma. Please carefully listen. See, this is not just like a reflection. The reflection is happens only on the surface. The reflected ray will not penetrate through the material medium. Reflected ray will not penetrate through the material medium. The reflected ray will passes only from the surface, according to the author's assumption. But when we are discussing about the law of refraction, we have to consider two material medium. It's in our assumption. That's why I have taken rarer medium and the denser medium. The rarer medium is an air medium, AIR, air medium. The denser medium is a material medium. So we are launching the light radiation. For example, you consider only this one, first ray. No need to consider two rays. Just you consider this first ray, A. When this incident ray, when this incident light ray strikes the point A, on the material. So this point A is nothing but called as an interface. Why we are calling this as an interface? Because it connects with the air medium and it connects with the denser medium. That's why we are called as an interface. Inter means between. It's between the rarer and also it between the denser. So the light ray strikes the point A. After that, the light ray will refract. The light ray will refract. So here, according to the author, he taken that wavelet. He taken that wavelet at the point C. And similarly, for the incident ray B, he considered the wavelet at the point D. Yes, the wavelet at the point D. So when we connect these two wavelets, by using a tangent line, then it will act as the source of the secondary wavelet. What is this source of the secondary wavelet? We can start our assumption again from here. So this region, again, we can consider as an incident ray. Then we can give here F and E as a refracted ray. So like that, we can develop and we can goes on. So this is the assumption of the Huygens. So here, this region is completely in a rarer region. So this region is completely in a denser region. Here the velocity is not equal because the light is propagated through different medium, from the air medium to the material medium. That's why the velocity variation will happen here. We are using the term V1 and V2. So for the rarer medium, the distance is V1T. For the denser medium, the distance is V2T. So from the normal line, after constructing the normal line, we can say that the incident ray, the refracted ray, incident ray means A and B. The refracted ray means C and D. And the normal. So the normal here we have mentioned here, N, are all lies in the same plane, or all lies in the same plane. Then from this, we are saying that the ratio of the sine of angle of an incident to the sine of angle of a refraction is a constant. So that we have mentioned in this parameter.
Yes, sir. Understood. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So any other doubt? Otherwise, we can wind up our class. So I have given the material for unit number 1. Those who are not collected your material, those who are not collected the material for unit number 1, please approach your department students, because the boys are in the WhatsApp group. So some of them are in the WhatsApp group, some are not in the WhatsApp group. So please give your name to that boys. If you have your any contact number of your classmates, so please call them and ask to enroll your name, to join your name in our WhatsApp group, so that we can share our information so directly. So that's all. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.